Indeed, it is our turn, and I gotta tell you, it's really frustrating having to hit that player button about 6 times in order for the disclaimer to go. I don't know what it is. Anyway, welcome to Syncretism on Friday night, and we have Santos Bonacci, and just waiting for Tony to call in. We do have a caller on the line already, Santos. I just want to double check to make sure who it is. So just give me a second here.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Jeremiah. I was just happy to listen in.
Oh, there you go. Well, you know how to mute, you know how to jump in, but absolutely, Jeremiah. I gotta write your number down so I know who it is when you call in.
No worries.
But yeah, very busy day.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, very busy day. We will be touching on the Dean Clifford situation right now. We got a lot of people around the world punching at this one, and here's the thing about the system: they just don't know when to give up, and all they've done is lit a powder keg, and this is the powder keg of powder kegs. And I've just had a few bits of information. Something came through. I just to let people know something came through. I posted it on Facebook, so anyone on my Facebook will know exactly what I'm reading here. So just give me a second, guys. This was shared from a friend, and it reads as such. I'm listening to Rod Class's recording from yesterday. Someone sent me. Excuse me. Seems he's just getting the point of the courts being controlled, and that some listener spoke with one of the judges who admitted they cannot arrest or try a living being, but they can't let us know this. Duh. Seems to me this judge was trying to get them to back off, to feel sorry for the judges, and if we push the envelope with our paperwork, which they can't answer because it would reveal their fraud, all hell would break loose, anarchy in the streets, as he put it. LOL, as if this isn't already the case. So there's a link to that recording, and also just got word in regarding Dean. So we're going to start off with this. It's going to be an Astro-theology night, but this for me is very critical. Dean is a very good friend of mine. And I found it kind of interesting that Dean contacted me on Thursday, a couple of days, of course, before Saturday, right? And he tagged me on Skype, and I missed him, and I said, well, tag me back when you get a chance. And I just thought it kind of, because I touch base with Dean on occasion, and I just thought it was kind of odd that 2 days before this went down. So there's obviously something brewing in the ether that is far deeper than that what you see on the surface. One of the notes, and Tony had just sent this to me. Maybe, Tony, why don't you read what you posted to me from Rob Ryder?
I can do, but it's just been forwarded to me by somebody who we both know, Kate.
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. And I'm just trying to control the windows and the tabs to try and get it to move into a place I can actually read it from.
Okay, well, I thought you me to read it.
Yeah, if you go ahead and read it, because I'm going to have to play around with the chat room and all there. I've just posted it all over the place.
Yeah, I know you got your eyes on a lot of things, as I do too, so that's why you kind of need two to run this show. Rob Ryder here. As most of you probably know, Dean Clifford was arrested in Manitoba. There is a video that you can get online. It's went around. I've posted it, and a few others have as well. And he's looking to get a hold of Darren Drinkwater from the video. That's Darren, who was with him on Saturday when the cop assaulted Dean for daring to in a pick. I had a pickup truck. I know what they're like in the snow, and if it's slippery at all, regardless of what you have in the back, they can slip on you. But again, they were just looking for a reason to pounce on Dean, as always, right? So he's looking to get a hold of Darren, and yeah, that number will already be in Darren's hands by now. That was 5 minutes ago. I got it, so he's probably already got it. Or anyone else that can act on Dean's behalf. Now here's just a point that Rod had made. Someone willing to file a bill of complaint into the Chancery side of the Court of General Jurisdiction addressed to the Chancellor, demanding a verified complaint against Dean be brought to the Chancellor for his and your inspection. And if it's not already lawfully recorded since the day of the arrest, then Dean is to be immediately released, and charges of false arrest and imprisonment brought against all conspirators. And we need to get to the right window and submit the correct form of instrument. A bill of complaint, Rob Ryder. And awesome news. Again, this is what I mean. this is a planetary game, guys. Now, we've got people from all over the world. When something happens to one of us, the whole world knows about it within seconds, minutes, and hours. It is that volatile right now. And as far as I'm concerned, the system only, based on, well, we had James Wright on Wednesday, Tony?
Yep, sorry, I was trying to find the mute button. Yes, it was Wednesday. Yeah.
Definitely a show. If you haven't downloaded it, you will want to go back to the archives and grab it, with James Wright exposing the Masonic side of things, the Scottish Rite Freemasons, and the involvement of judges and what have you that are on the Freemason payroll, which might be considered a conflict of interest. Just saying. But I know these guys are paranoid. I know they're shitting themselves because they've been committing fraud after fraud after fraud, and they were hoping that we would never catch on. But unfortunately, they got caught up in their own ego, their own greed, their own need to, live the dark side and harm countless people. And it's because of all this that you're dealing with wars and people getting murdered all around the planet, and that is on the shoulders of these guys. So I definitely wanted to get that word out, and I've got some other details as well that I can share at some point during the show here. But I just want to get your feedback, guys.
Wow. So Dean now, and what's the charges with Dean?
Well, a cop jumped him, so it's assaulted police officer.
Exactly. Wow.
Yeah, you know how these guys work. It's like the cop touches you, you're charged with assault. They just want to jack up the charges, creates more money off the bonds and all the rest of it. So
that's exactly the same as the inquisitional officers 500 years ago were trained, how they were trained in Spain to terrorize the whole world. Yeah, first of all, those officers were told to be thugs and lay false charges, lay evidence of crime in the house, push them around a bit, tell the judge that it was you that was pushed around instead. And we've got an inquisition on our hands. It looks to me that we need to get rid of this inquisition, and we need to do it real quick. And all the inquisitorial conspirators, i.e. all of your sheriffs and your costumed morons, because they're actually working for corporations that are defunct, number one. And under the new trust, the People's Trust, we can just directly, go after their butts. No need to worry about their badges or their blue or black costumes, whatever moronic shit they're wearing. It's the flesh and blood inside there that we're going to go after, and that's how it's going to work. Real human beings are going to be exposed here, not corporations. We're not going to say, BP, BP did an oil spill, because they do these things deliberately, of course. The terrorists. But we're going to go after the people who really make the decisions. Yeah, they're scared, Kate. They're scared, all right, because there's justice in the air somehow.
Oh, yeah.
You can smell it. You can smell it.
Well, and therein lies the key thing that you just brought up there about BP did this or Bank of Montreal did that. No, they didn't. Those are corporations. The people hiding behind the corporations are the ones that did it. And that veil of corporate lying, of total fiction land, is now being surely and absolutely ripped off. And the people that are behind these veils are getting called out. And I think the only word here, guys, is time to change your ways and repent. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem, and that karmic pendulum is swinging back now. I was talking to you and Tony earlier with regards to this LA police officer, ex-cop, that's got a bit of a vendetta with him getting served a bum rap because he dared to squeal on one of his fellow officers for kicking a suspect numerous times when they were down. which is obviously standard operating procedure for most thugs. That's probably the best word for it. And of course, the city where one of the cops was shot, I guess, are flying their flags at half-mast. What about all the people that the cops murder every year? I don't see the mayors of any cities flying the flags at half-mast. No, all I see is a bunch of paper pushers to absolve the thugs of their crimes, move them around a little. The cops do the same thing as the priests do. As soon as a priest is caught for being a pedophile, which most of them are, all they do is they don't penalize them. They shuffle them around to another diocese, and that's exactly what they do in the cops. We're dealing fractal here, guys, and we're not living in a police state. Don't glorify them. We're living in a criminal state. Big difference.
Oh yeah, this is criminal behaviour. There's no excuse. Just because you got this particular uniform that says it's a federal uniform, and whatever words and letters and whatever shit and paraphernalia is on that uniform, it means nothing. It's the heart and soul and mind and intent inside that uniform that's going to cop it in the end when justice comes around. That's it. Whatever you do, whatever little insect you kill, whatever thing you destroy that is already existing, that has life and has spirit and motion, and you interfere with it, you'll be paying for those crimes somewhere down the track. You cannot just do that crime and then just, whoo, no one saw that, I'm free, woohoo, because no one can see, because these arseholes. Okay, I won't use those words because I don't need to, but because these creeps hide behind, they can't see what we're actually doing. These sheeple that come into our courts don't really realise that we're just charging their estate and hypothecating their signatures and stealing money from innocent people. Just because the society in general, those dumb sheeple, don't see that, it doesn't mean the crime's not going on. Therefore, it is registered. It's registered. The universe is a registering, conscious network machine. Everything's registered. It's all done. All the crimes, all those little boys that the cardinals of Rome and all of those Jesuits have raped. That's all done. It's all registered. Everyone knows. It's all known. They can never hide one little rape and one hurt they've done to these little children. You can hear their crying. You can hear them isolated, alone in those monasteries, because they're orphans and they've been sent to some orphanage where the Catholic nuns will look after them, won't they? Oh, yes. In the middle of the night, you hear these little kids screaming because of the whips and the red backsides, and then they have sex with these kids, and then they whip them some more, and then they tell them that they're useless little pieces of shit, and their parents, are no good and left them to the devil, and we have to look after you and bend over, and now it's time to rape you. Those things have been recorded. It's all been recorded, all nicely. The universe knows what it's doing, and then what will transpire is that the ones that have more will be given to them, and the ones that have little, what little they have will be taken from them and given to the ones who have more, and they will enter into the bliss of the kingdom of the heavens, which is where we're going in the new dimension. And it's unfortunate that the costume ones have chosen to stay behind.
Yeah, exactly.
They have chosen, by virtue of doing violence to human beings, which is the highest of the creation on this planet. Not only do they go around killing rabbits and animals and animal life and plant life and killing themselves because they have so much hate for themselves that they can actually hurt another being. Because you can't hurt another being unless you hate your own guts.
It's true.
When you hate your guts, you can do any sort of harm. So these ones will be taken out of the way soon. It's going to be amazing how the universe is going to remove these costumed foot soldiers of a nothing dead entity. But the nothing dead entity called a corporation, actually speaks through its imbecile agents like Barack Obama and all of these creeps and judges and stuff like that, and people go and pay that attention. Well, it's sad to see humanity in that condition, that they pay attention to the papers and little bits of paperwork that the judges send you still, and the policemen in their costumes, these hurtful creatures participating in the worst crime ever in the whole universe. There's nowhere else in the universe where there's police forces, guys. I mean, they're not stupid. They are not stupid. They're free out there. We're the dumb dumbass fruitcakes that let costumes stop us while we're exercising our right to travel on the road, and we let some idiot with a red and blue light, we let them, and tasers and all that some dumb shit with a freaking costume stop us. We allow this on this planet. I mean, we're just a bunch of cows in that case, and I think we deserve to just get led to the abattoirs and whatever they want to do to us, vaccinate us, chemtrail us, let them do it, because we are a bunch of freaking dumbasses if we let costumes take away our freedoms.
Yeah, there it is, handing it right to the people, and we've been saying that for a long time, you know. Tony, jump in here, buddy.
Big shiny badge.
We got to get Scott back.
That's a brilliant documentary. If anybody hasn't seen it, what's the name of that one, Kate?
What the fuck?
Yeah, FUQ.
FUQ. Yeah, what the fuck? It's beautiful documentary. Sorry, just saying it as it's spelled. So yeah, FUQ. What the FUQ? So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of tongue biting tonight, I'm sure. You know, as angry as it can make some people, it is beyond laughable. That, yeah, Sandy, you said it so well. Sorry, I can't top it. Not what I want to. The whole point is, you've got a bunch of people walking around that magically turn into something else when they put on a shiny badge and pack a gun. Oh, that's what I was going to look for. One of my responses with regards to this LAPD chief, he had made a few comments regarding this Jordan Dorner or whatever the road cop's name is. Well, hey, that's what you get. You train them that way, and you know, it's like a pack of dogs. One dog bites another dog, expect a fight, and that's what you're going to be dealing with. And as this system comes down, collapse it now, because when it comes down and they don't have any more treats to feed their dogs. And here we are all along trying to show everyone, cops, judges, everyone included, that isn't in the know of what's really been going on, you know, how that their mortgage has been fraud, how any loan they've ever taken out. I watched a clip from New Zealand news media, and you know, it was nice to see a couple of people saying that, and they brought it up on mainstream media, that money is created out of thin air. So no, it's not created out of thin air. Let's go right to the core issue. Santos already said it. Any money that's created is created only by virtue of a signature, UCC 3-419, accommodation. Then we can move into words like hypothecation, which once you're an accommodating party, especially if there's an X beside your signature, they can do whatever they want and create as much money as they want with it, because you gave them permission to use your signature whenever they want. Bet you didn't think you did, but sorry, you didn't read the rule book, so those ignorant of the law, that's not a defense.
Yep.
So carry on.
Absolutely. And what do we do to stop that happening? We put it in a box. Yeah,
or I make it even easier. I just don't sign anything. I just don't sign a damn thing. People ask me my name, private. Birthday, private. None of your fucking business. Pardon me, but that's just me being me, right? So, you know, it's none of anyone's business. You know, if I don't know you as a friend, then, no, sorry, you're a general acquaintance that I haven't come to know, and I'll keep all my things private, my customary calling and my day of arrival. None of your business.
No comment.
Literally, none of your business. Right? They even tell you in our slang, well, that's none of your business. Wow, it's almost like like corporate or something. Almost like it's uniform commercial code. Like it's almost like merchant law or law of the high seas. Admiralty, commerce, the phony Etians, right? So anyway, Jeremiah, are you still there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I was just listening in, and I wanted to interject real quick. I just kind of want to put a positive spin on this, and I don't know if this is my own thinking, my own research, or what I've come to, but like what Santos has, went through his work with the cycles of the whole universe. I mean, as there's, summer, spring, winter, fall, as far as like the entire precision of the equinoxes. There's like that golden age we enter, and then all of a sudden we fall into that darkness. It's just that kind of waveform. So it's kind of inevitable. So at this point, it's just focusing on that positive, because we're over that threshold now. As far as what I've researched, what I believe to be true, we're over that threshold now, and it's inevitable. This golden age, everyone's waking up, and it's just these beings that have chosen these circumstances for themselves to experience this kind of lifestyle. Like, imagine being like, the part of the royal family and living within that kind of limited structure where you can't, have that other, kind of realm of being where it's only just this ritualistic kind of I can't even imagine really how it is, but just like I believe at one point these beings were benevolent, and throughout all the cycles of life, I believe you have to have that kind of adversity. As for myself, the only reason why I've asked these questions is because I've chosen to experience undesirable, circumstances, so I can start to question and find more meaning out of life. That's just my spin on it, anyways.
Oh, that's all. I was just waiting for the other guys to jump in here. Yeah, absolutely. Again, no, I wholeheartly agree. And that's the thing, and I do resonate with the same idea and notion that we're dealing with beings that were at one time benevolent and got led astray. I mean, that you can go back through all the books, and that's kind of a common theme that seems to be, the fallen angels, so to speak, right? And actually, I was even doing a little looking at Urantia, and well, of course, I like looking at everything. I always do. This gives you a better perspective. But I was hoping that Tony or Santa would jump in on your comments there as well.
Yeah, very nice, Jeremiah. Spot on, brother. I don't need to add anything to that. We've arrived at the place where we can have unity. We know that because we don't believe in commerce anymore. We believe in flesh and blood relationships of honor and honesty and truth. So we're ready. So in that sense, yeah, paradise is here. It has arrived. Everything has arrived. We might perhaps not be focusing in the right direction to see it, but it has arrived. It seems the rest, or a few pertinent characters or components of this world's secular order still haven't got the memo, but it'll get there. They'll realise that they don't have any authority to act anymore, because there's really no more, unum sanctum. It just doesn't exist. It's hiding in some vault in the Vatican, but it's the first expressed trust in history to herd everything into it. It doesn't exist anymore. So whatever you do for a uniform now, better be very, very careful. It better be an honourable act, because it's all registered, and you don't get away with anything anymore. That's the beautiful world that we're living in. We've got ways of exposing the criminals. Now, if I was a Rothschild and a Rockefeller and all of these creepy entities and families that are controlling the world from behind the scene, I'd be pretty scared right now, because they've run a very, very well-oiled killing machine. That's all it is. The Vatican and Rome and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and all of those ancillary connected New World Order paraphernalia, they've been running a very, very well-oiled killing machine. They kill, they rape, they plunder. They're plundering the earth, their oil. They rape us, causing us to pay for that energy. It's free anyway. But, hey, just give us your money. We are called BP. We are called Shell Oil. These are all Vatican. These are all ancillary criminal corporate structures, right? They need to be very, very scared, and they probably are, because if you can imagine them, to run this machine of killing, you need killers around you all the time. So the banksters, they can't be safe. Pretty much like Stalin, he had about 1,000 bodyguards everywhere he went from the moment he killed. The moment he got into office and that, and he had, and then in the end they got him anyway. These guys, Trotsky was killed by Stalin. Trotsky killed who knows how many countless millions innocent Russians himself anyway. But then in the end, what happened to him? Then what happened to Stalin? Then what happened to Mussolini? What happened to Hitler? What's going to happen to George Bush? It's already.
Well, it's like we were talking about that last night with Elliot Bernstein, and people like George Bush are he's wanted in numerous states and other countries around the world that there are warrants out for him, and what's happening is because of their actions now, what they've been trying to do to the masses by keeping them fearful and in their homes is exactly what they're getting for themselves. And again, I wish no ill or harm on anyone. All I wish for them is the golden rule. That which you sow, so shall you reap. And that's what the golden rule is. If your intent is to be harmed, then obviously you go out and harm someone. That's how it works. They got it all backwards. So, especially the shills and whatnot that are dialed in right now, and I know there are. Sorry, it's been the way of my life for the last 3 years, but you better start understanding who your master is and how much of a fool you are for thinking that somehow you're not going to be collateral damage at some point, because when your usefulness is over, so is your life. That's kind of how it works with that game. You sell your soul to the devil, well, don't expect any refunds.
Yeah. Like Trotsky was very, very handy in the Bolshevik Revolution for the Baxters in Switzerland and the Vatican when they took over Russia and killed. Eventually, they killed 160 million free, aristocratic, creator-loving Russians. But then what happened to Trotsky? It was only a matter of a handful of years. I mean, he killed so many Russians, and he made so much money by plundering their assets and returning that money to the banksters. And he had his own very, very, very handy bank account in Switzerland himself anyway. But he ended up being assassinated in Mexico. So you're going to get caught. I mean,
And for those curious, Trotsky, by the way, is one of the interesting parts of history, right? He turned coat and ran. And they found him in Mexico, and he got bludgeoned to death with an ice pick.
I mean, he would have killed. I don't know. He would have killed probably about 60 million. He would have been responsible indirectly and directly for the death of 60 million Russians. And I'm not, that's conservative. And so of course you're going to get bludgeoned to death.
Yeah. Well. You get to come back and experience the victim side of it, because that's what you made. You created victims, so you get to be one, you see?
Yeah, it's poetic justice. We see it in the universe. The universe is always returning every action to the giver. It's very handy. It's a very, very loving universe. Oh, you did something? All right, you can have it back. Universe doesn't want it. It'll get back to you. So you go killing someone, the universe is going to say, oh, that's on your record. Here you go. You can have the experience back.
You get to experience your creation. That's simple. Mirror, mirror, baby. Mirror, mirror. That's why I often wondered, I must have been some evil being in the past. You know, I mean, all things considered, even what I've been through, it's mild compared to what others have suffered at the hands of these self-made victims. Unbelievable.
All that needs to happen is for people to hear this and know that they are free, and then once we all are able to see ourselves as free divinities, having an experience, it's only a ride. Thank you, Bill Hicks. And even the uniformed, costumed ones, once upon a time, you know, we called them uniform because uniform had sort of a, yeah, it had a stigma to it, and the stigma was honor. But really, I don't see uniforms anymore. I see costumes, and you know, I see clown costume suits. I see buffoon costume suits. They've got shiny badges. Oh yeah, you can slap 20, 30 of those badges on it. Yeah, put as many. But the flesh and blood inside that uniform needs to wake up and realise that it also is the same divinity as the divinity that it is tasering to death at the moment that the other divinity was jaywalking and didn't stop when was ordered to at the threat of being tasered to death. It just doesn't make sense. The whole structure doesn't make sense. We are killing people on the one hand through our legislation and our acts and all of those corporate rules, and on the other hand, we train people in life saving and sending money in charities all around the world through the UN to give people medicines and to save them and help the world, and it's all absolutely a convoluted soup of shit that they offer you. What and why? Well, as George Carlin said, you know, politicians talk about initiatives. We have an initiative that we are moving forward on, and he said he cleverly defined what an initiative is. It's an operation or something real that is going nowhere. So that's why they give you that politic talk, you know. We're moving ahead on the agenda. Yes, we're onto that, and there has been some movement in respect to our decisions and our. I don't know. Look, go and see George Carlin do it. It's a 5-minute spiel, and it's brilliant. And he exposes how they always turn up with those same words. And they are those beautiful smokescreen words that, you know, a lot of words, but you don't understand squat diddly about what he said. He avoided the question, denied everything, opted out of... Look, these guys are trained in spin. They talk shit. Their whole system's shit. It's a convoluted system of dichotomy. They give you one thing good on the one hand. Oh, yeah, sign here. There's a benefit, privilege, service. You don't get any rights. So they're always extending two hands, you know. Here we go. Grab here, grab this. But then there's the other hand that comes out and grabs from behind, you know. We've got to eliminate that, folks. There's only two kinds of government. There's one that serves you, that listens to you, that you influence. And there's a government that wants you to serve it, that influences you. In other words, it tells you have to defend the country and go to war and bring democracy to Iraq. So all these young boys join and go off to Iraq, etc., etc. That's the way government influences people. It gets into their heads and tells them that they owe something to this government, because they pretend that the government is the collective that they talk about, that we must the individual must contribute to the collective. That's a crock of shit, because the government's it's just a bit of paper, and there's agents of that bit of paper because we give it power and authority. That's why their laws and enactments, they tell you, are given the force of law. They are not the law. And this is the thing that I'm trying to get to, Kate and Tony and Jeremy. That's what I'm all about. What I'm all about is to help people to see that law is God's law, and it's the Torah, and it's astrology, and it's the science of light, and we've forgotten that. That's why the Bible and the Bible writers are saying, return and repent and return to the law of God. It's not that fictional freaking God that they've got in the churches and all that bullshit. That's another,
We still got you guys on there?
But it's the science of light.
Oh, yeah. You cut out there for a sec, Santo.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, no problem. I found that post I did earlier on the thread going. There's a number of threads going for Dean Clifford right now. Here it is, and I'm going to read one part of it again, and at the end of it, and I want you to exchange Riverside officers for the average living soul. This is what I'm talking about with the golden rule and the mirror and the pendulum swinging back. So here it is. The cops are finally experiencing their mirror, as per the recent ex-cop gunning for his former comrades who screwed him. I'm posting a quote from the LAPD chief with my only comment in reply. Really? Now you know how we, the people, feel every time we encounter one of your dogs. As the saying goes, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and one of your own is really hungry for the justice he was refused in their system. And he will eat many. Mirror, mirror. Here's the quote. And this is from the chief, LAPD. It is extremely worrisome and scary, especially to the police officers involved, LA Chief Charlie Beck said. The Riverside officers were cowardly ambushed. They had no opportunity to fight back, no pre-warning. Imagine going about your workday having to worry about that threat. Now you know how we feel, dick. Here it is. I'm going to put in, I'll change the quote. It is extremely worrisome and scary, especially to the general public involved. The living beings were cowardly ambushed. They had no opportunity to fight back, no pre-warning. Imagine going about your workday having to worry about that threat. And that's what everyone traveling around right now has in the back of their mind. You've got these armed thugs in there bristling with technology, license plate scanning, eavesdropping, computer tetra poisoning consoles, and you're dealing with very unstable beings to begin with. That's how they're picked. But here's the thing about the dog-eat-dog world. You bring enough nasty dogs into the pack, and one of them gets bit. You can rest assured that there's going to be a dogfight, and that's the mirror that's happening right now. And I see this, and what them grabbing Dean on Saturday. I mean, for me, these are coalescing events, and it's showing that wave that is now pushing to the consciousness where here's a chief that finally gets to experience the same fear that he foists upon everyday people just trying to go about their lives and commit the heinous criminal offense of rolling through a stop sign or going 3 or 4 miles an hour over the limit, not harming anyone. But again, it's all about revenue. So I just wanted to share that.
Beautiful, Kate. Absolutely well said. I think you need to, if you're listening to this on audio, rewind the last 5 minutes and have a listen to it again. I don't see many cops that are kind of scared when they go to work. I mean, if they haven't got 40 tasers wrapped around their necks, I don't see them sort of going, oh, shit, I'm scared. Oh, they're cocksure of themselves. They are cocksure, arrogant thugs, 90% of them. They do not suffer with any kind of unsurety about they're going to be shot. I can guarantee you that.
I completely agree. Tony, Jeremiah, jump in.
But people listen to this chief of police and they don't think for a minute. They don't stop and think. Wait a minute. How many police do you actually see that are really, really, really scared? How can you be scared? You're the one with batons and freaking knives and clubs and guns and tasers and all this cannons now and bazookas. What else? I think they're going to be going around in that. You see that those uniforms they have now. They look like SWAT teams. They look like astronauts now.
Well, actually, they look like high-tech SS. That's what they look like.
if that isn't a costume, I mean, I don't know. Help me, guys. That's a costume.
Yeah, it would work great on Halloween if you wanted to pretend to be, an astronaut or a high-tech people herder. Absolutely.
How'd you feel? Can you imagine? Would you ever don one of those uniforms, knowing what they stand for? Absolute fascist, corporate, killing, inquisitorial, pedophile, hierarchic, corporate fiction. Serve it or die. Choose now.
Oh, exactly. Hey, let's go back. Was it Prince William or Prince Harry that put on that SS uniform for Halloween one year? And was it Harry? Yeah. There's the one day of the year that Harry showed exactly who and what he is. And there he is bragging about, I think it was 34 people he murdered at the push of a button. And there was a video that Tony had sent a link. I posted it as well on Vimeo. What's it called, Tony? Video? Do you remember?
I can't remember the name of that particular one. It was all to do with the royals and the atrocities they created back through the generations, basically.
Oh yeah, I mean the number of animals that these people have slaughtered wholesale every year. And here you have the Duke of Edinburgh at a World Wildlife Federation fundraiser. You got to be kidding me. I mean, in one day alone, they shot over 50 boar in France. 50. I mean, if that's not depleting a gene pool of a species, I don't know what is. It was Prince Harry that took it upon himself to shoot an ibis. Santo, let's get into astro-theology. What does an ibis represent in Egyptology? Thoth, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, an ibis. Yeah, Thoth, thought, wisdom. Yeah, but they do this because what they're doing is they are telling forth from their fruits. You will recognize them. They are telling forth to the world that they are still unevolved human beasts. They have not entered into the category of human being, and so only beasts kill. It is the beast that kills. With a taser, with guns, it doesn't matter what device you use. The intent behind it is, if it is for killing and stopping life, that is beastly. And so this is why the Bible says that the children of God and the children of Satan, the children of the devil, in the book of John, are recognized by this fact. The children of the devil kill. That's it. That is it. It tells you in the Bible. In fact, I will get that scripture out and read it because it's actually biblical. It's hermetic, same thing anyway. But so that people know, killing is out. It's out. It doesn't matter what costume you wear when you're doing it. Doesn't exercise it. The act doesn't exempt you in any way.
Nope. You pull the trigger. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. And by your actions, you will be known. And here's the thing, and I've brought this up many times in the past. There is no need for forgiveness, because in forgiveness you are judging. The actions that are already done have already created the judgment upon the individual aspect. And the individual aspect has to be the one to atone for that. So that to me is probably the most critical thing for me to focus on, in that my actions, And there are days, I'll tell you, it's very difficult to, remain in that calm, serene space given, the crap that we get exposed to. And it is absolute crap. But to stay focused on the whole idea of creating within that which you want without. Again, getting back to the Hermetic principles, Bible, whatever you want to call it at this point, because we all know they're all the same books. But, there is so much that is coming to the fore right now. The tsunami, this standing wave and I know I've been feeling it, is giving. I can feel it giving now, and there is going to be some paradigm change over the next little while. And maybe, Santi, you can share a little bit of the zodiac flavor of that comment.
Yeah. First of all, I found the scripture, 1 John chapter 3, verse 10. The children of God and the devil... No, sorry. So, 1 John 3:10. The children of God and the devil... The children of God and the children of the devil are evident by this fact. Everyone who does not carry on righteousness does not originate with God, neither does he who does not love his brother. For this is the message which you have heard from the beginning, that we should have love for one another, not like Cain, who originated with the wicked one and slaughtered his brother. And for the sake of what did he slaughter him? Because his own works were wicked. And there it is. There's the distinction. It says right there. That's the distinction. If you kill like Cain, you're a child of the devil. And it's talking about the devil not as a fictional entity. It's talking about the devil of resistance. So there you go. Killing. No uniform. In fact, if you're wearing a uniform when you are in the act of killing, you are now under the rule of following orders, because it's the uniform that told you that you were allowed to wear the taser, because you're not allowed to wear tasers in general without that particular uniform. So you're following the orders of the uniform. The uniform was giving you that order, or what the uniform stands for. So there's obviously that's how they are treating their actions, and the Nuremberg trials established that following orders just ain't good enough. It doesn't cut it. You still get to go to the guillotines.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you look at Nuremberg, and how many leaders do we have today that fall under the Nuremberg principles? No? Go ahead, Tony. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, absolutely. I was just going to refer to the Mark Passio interview where we determined who was most guilty, the person giving the orders or the person pulling the trigger. And it's absolutely conclusive. It's the person that's pulling the trigger that's actually doing the damage. The person that's giving the orders does not bear such a high karma as the person that carries out the deed.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. Absolutely. Jeremiah, what are your thoughts? No,
I'm still here. That's pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, I just watched that movie with what was it? You Can't Handle the Truth. They're hiding that. It was the commanding officers giving that trigger to do giving the order to do the code red. You guys are following me, and it turned out that it made it look like the people giving the orders were the ones who were at fault, and ended up being at fault, which is interesting. But I don't know if you guys want to interject on that, but. I just never really thought about that until now. So it's
you're talking about a few good men, and yes, absolutely. But at the end of the movie, you'll remember that the corporal told the private, who was a good representation of how clueless uniformed types really are, where he still didn't see the error of his ways, totally still in the dumbed down mode, and he turned around to him and said, "No, we were wrong because we were supposed to defend." the people, the individual that ended up getting killed with the code red. So there was the point where that corporal saw the error of his ways, and that he knew he was just as more guilty than the officer. So it was a beautiful ending on that movie, by the way. So thanks for bringing that up. A few good men. There's a lot of very, very poignant truths in that.
Yes, I've noticed that. Very syncretic. So it was a fantastic watch, and it was really cool to see that perspective within this new kind of perspective. I'm glad I saw it now rather than a time where I was, indoctrinated, and I actually see behind the lines and what's really going on. So it was very interesting to see that, and it was very interesting to hear your guys' perspective on that. And it really blows the mind to see all of these, police officers carrying out these orders and doing these things, and they're the ones who are accruing this karma, no one else. It's them. But again, reflection, they've chosen this down the line for whatever reason to grow and learn lessons in life. But the main thing that I'm thinking about with all of this that's happening is just now that people's trust is out, that's very exciting. It's phenomenal even. And I was listening to that conversation on the 5th update about just the energies that's on it, and that the gold will, the abundances, these CVACs, will only come to you if you emit that kind of energy. And there was this unbelievable meditation that was just so powerful. The vibrations just resonated so beautifully, and it's just amazing where we're going. So right now, all I'm thinking about is just how I'm going to get this out, who I'm going to talk to display this information in a very delicate, gently, compassionate, loving kind of way that people can resonate with it and align with it. And I'm ready to create posters and post them up in my local food mart and wherever I see a bulletin board, or if I see someone, serving coffee or whatever at Trader Joe's, and I'm like, well, hey, I've learned about this trust. Maybe you'd be interested. And I'm just all about getting this out. Finally, we have an opportunity to actually access a very large majority of the population. It's that path of least resistance. It's that opportunity where we can finally talk to people about this kind of divinity that we all share and that we all are entitled to, and all these conspiracy theories that everyone's heard about but just denied and neglected because it was just so bizarre and out there. But now is our opportunity, because we have an official document, people doing these things, building this momentum, beautiful people like Dean and you, Kate, and Santos and Tony and everyone else, Jordan, who have put their lives and everything on hold and for this greater purpose, for this truth. So now it's up to each and every one of us, who have found this information, just to spread it like wildfire. So if anyone's listening to this, just spread that information like wildfire. Create a poster, just have fun with it. Just enjoy the process, because we're moving into the golden age, friends. So it's magical.
Couldn't agree more.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you indeed. I got to tell you that, and I'll ask Tony and Santo this as well. When I actually did decide to put my life on hold 3 years ago, there was something gnawing inside, and I had, constantly get to a certain level of success, and but it wasn't fulfilling. There was nothing fulfilling in it. It was a dog eat dog world sort of thing, and of course, anyone that ever dealt with me always got a a better end of the stick deal than I ever got, because that was just the nature of what I did, and that's why, in contracting, I never had to advertise, because I was always in demand based on that premise. And there was that very deep gnawing something inside that said, no, that there's something else I have to be doing right now, and trying to move forward in this way is just one step forward, 2 steps back, and I was tired of retreating, and I put my life in hold and everything else on the line as well. And I've said it many times in the past. There's no obligation to this for anyone, except I just don't want to see it wasted. and there are so many out there. We're just a few of the countless people out there that have taken the same stance some many years before us. Like, for example, Jordan Maxwell and Mary Croft and Eldon Warman and so many others that blazed a lot of these trails for us in the very, very early days. And by the way, speaking of Jordan, couldn't make it tonight, no problem. We're just leaving this Friday night open for the Jordan Maxwell, Santos Bonacci, Kate and Tony. Let's just shoot the shit about anything and whatever. But yeah, I just want to throw that with you. I just want to throw that with and you and Santo and Santo. Oh, someone needs to mute. Anyway, I just wanted to, what was your defining moment? Oh, did I lose you guys?
No, I'm good. I'm waiting for Tony to comment.
Sorry, what was my defining moment?
Yeah, again, putting your life on hold. What was that one thing that said, I've got to do this?
Oh, crikey. Blimey. Sorry, I was typing away when you asked the question, so I was a bit distracted myself. I do apologise. Yeah, a bit of a heavy chat there for a moment. What was my defining moment? They killed my brother. Bang. There you go. Pharmaceutical companies rammed him full of vitamin B12, killed him, shot his back full of cortisone. 5 years younger than me. That was my defining moment. Fuck you. I'm not putting up with that. Period. Sorry. There you go.
Oh.
I thought you were being actually rather nice about that, Tony. Yeah, this movement, by the way, the truth that I found out about the name came as a result of my father dying and having to get a passport without any ID, emergency passport through the British consulate, who the individual I talked to there acknowledged everything I said. So that's something else, because I know Tony and you, Santo, and myself, we all speak from experience. These aren't theories. We experience something, then we discuss it. We don't go, well, we'll discuss it and see what happens. No. What you're hearing on these shows, and I think this is what resonates so much, is we're bringing to the table experience. These aren't, fictitious little stories that we make up. These are the everyday actions of what we've had to go through. So, Santo, your defining moment.
Oh, first of all, I'm struggling to find one because it's pretty much everything. It was a gradual thing for me, you see. It was always there since I was young, and I thought I would attend to that need by being a quote-unquote spiritual person, join the Jehovah's Witnesses. See, I was already, the way I'm speaking now, I was speaking through my teenage years, because I left the Jehovah's Witnesses when I was about 13. I was raised as one by my parents, left it, and then I did, the fast cars, the chicks, and the weed, right? So, but I did learn a great deal in my teenage years. That's when I got all the consciousness expansion within theogens and just general being free from mind control. But somehow I got ensnared again, obviously, because I did 20 years with the Witnesses after that. At the age of 19, I decided I want to be a spiritualist. So you get confused when you make that decision, when you begin to awaken to your higher nature, and you go off and you run off to one of these churches, because they promise all this, oh yeah, we know God, yeah, we can tell you about God. That's what we do here. Put money in the contribution, and all your little kiddies, pants off and bend over. That's all you need to do. You're welcome in this church. We'll tell you about God. Yeah, that's it. Seeing that hypocrisy, I think, in churches, and seeing that they're working for God, but it's not the source God, it's another God. It's a materialistic, invented, fictional God which serves them. It's a structure. It's a structure with rules. And it's the same as the bar. They've got no laws. The bar has no laws. They've just got a structure in place. Prosecutors, they've got books with definitions. They've got, Black's Law Dictionary. So they've got they've got their reference works. They even refer to the Bible. So they've got all this structure in place, and they administer God's affairs. Well, it's not the source God. And it's up to you if you want to sign into their God and worship their beast. But they offer very honourable contracts. I mean, they do kindly encourage you to sign on. They actually are honourable enough to get a signature, at least. It's we, the stupid ones, that don't know what that signature means. It's all that you represent in terms of energy toward that trust. But anyway, I've answered your question, Kate. That is the corruption I saw in the institutions, really, and in particular the churches. I was frustrated. I was going to the Jehovah's Witnesses because I wanted to know everything about God, about light, about everything. I wanted to be divine and grow and have a big consciousness and understand God and teach God. And I wanted to know everything. And you go to the meetings every Sunday, and we study the Watchtower, and we have a public talk. And how much are they teaching about knowing God? Diddly squat. And so that gets frustrating after a while, and you leave it behind.
And therein lies the crux of the issue. No pun intended on crux. Here you have different organizations, and I don't care what you want to call them, that are preaching from the Bible, whatever version they're using, maybe one they wrote themselves, who knows. But the bottom line is this: is that it's very easy to ensnare people with the whole God aspect and what God is, and I refer to it as Creator or the Invisible Wizard or whatever you want that I am part of, right? But what they do is they take those most beautiful books, and we've discussed this many times, those most beautiful books of truth, and they warp them with literal translations. And what you have around us right now, what we all have around us and what we're experiencing are the net results of that literal translation. And the longer we go along with it, the longer it persists. And that's changed now. It has changed in such a dramatic way. I mean, even over the last 2 or 3 months, I feel the paradigm shift. I see it, and I'm hearing it from people. I get emails, I get Facebook posts and messaging on Skype and what have you, new contact requests and everything else. So, I mean, these are the measure for me of who's awakening. And it's not that we come on these shows to say, well, we've got it right. No, we come on these shows to say, look what we found. What do you think? And this is where we get into the dialogues and try to figure things out. Because we've all been duped to such an incredible level from the instant we set foot onto this planet. From cradle to grave, guys. I mean, that's why when I asked the name, I was looking for the one thing that we all have in common that we take from cradle to grave. And there's only one thing: name. And go figure, it all went right back to it. So, like I said earlier in the show, you want to know my name? It's private. A name, by the way, etymologically speaking, means way. I have my way, and that's none of your business. And when I got here, it's none of your business either. That was kind of personal between my mom and dad. Anyway, so there's my tuppence. Feel free, people.
Yeah, in ancient Rome, the Julian dynasty found a very ingenious way of finding people that were not for Rome. And what they would do is they would go around, the agents of Rome would go around looking for people that looked suspect, that weren't really on Rome's side, and they would offer them some incense and say, here you go, this is for our good god Julius. Would you like to offer some incense to him? And if that particular one resisted and declined, basically what they were doing was they were discovering true sovereigns. And because a sovereign would never submit to Julius Caesar's fictional empire. This is where it all started, you see. And what they tell you, of course, in the history books is that it was they were looking for Christians, you see, because Christians would never, ever burn incense to Caesar, and so that they would throw them to the lions, you see. And all they did, there were two things. Tertullian teaches us that they did that, number one, and the second thing is they offered them sausages filled with blood, because in that time, in the 2nd century, Christians were certain Christians, Gnostics of course, were not eating meat or blood. But anyway, the point is this. They had an ingenious way of discovering who was and who was not for the empire, for God on earth, Julius, the CEO of the corporation called Rome, who now is headed by, the Pope, Barack Obama, the Black Pope, and these tricky dudes. So the reason I'm saying this is because they use that as a means of terrorizing the inhabitants of Rome. No one that was a self-sovereign in Rome could walk the streets, free, really, knowing this, that any agent of Rome, an army officer or a police officer of Rome at the time, they would have had army. It would have been just army, the Roman army. That's it. It was militarized. Anyway, they could just rock up at any time, any agent of the government, and offer you some incense and catch you. And if you did not burn the incense, they would drag you into a court. And that was it. And you disappeared.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. They've changed the tactic in one way. All it is now is a cop coming up and asking your name. And when you confess to being part of the system by offering them a name, they know. If you give them the name, they know that you're of Rome, and if you don't, well, then they know you're of the other sovereign kind, the free one.
Absolutely, and the reason I'm telling this, of course, is for that obvious,
glaring,
self-explanatory reason, because they're still using the same tactics. But remember, if they use a tactic on you, you can always put the mirror on it and reflect it back to them. And this is how. Now, you guys and the listeners, we all know that we are divine. We acknowledge the divinity. We do not deny it. We acknowledge that we are part of God, and we want to be a part of it, and we are a part of it. We know that. We are God. We are divine. We are units of divinity, units of light. We are special. We are a part of the one, the whole. We are everything that ever was and is and ever will be. So, if we know that, then we can use this clever Roman corporate tactic, and we can turn that around and perhaps ask some of the churchgoers whether they think that they're special and divine. And see what answers they give. And you will see that they are the first in the universe. They are the first in line of all entities existent that will deny the divinity. Churchgoers. They absolutely categorically deny that they are divine. Therefore, if you're not divine, what are you? In my books, you are an evildoer. So you see how churchgoers themselves have been duped from their own divinity and their own salvation. They themselves that kill you for not believing their Lutheran or Calvinistic beliefs, and yet go to the grave believing them themselves, have been duped out of their own salvation. They've been told that they will be saved vicariously one day by some Jesus dude coming in the clouds, and you are a creepy, sinful, lustful, vicious, vice-ridden, rodent-type worm, according to King David in Psalms 22, and of course all of the Psalms. But that's how a Baptist, a Jehovah's Witnesses, etc., goes to the grave, guys. So they've turned churchgoers themselves by their own rules and techniques and devices, they've turned them into evildoers, because they are the first people that's put their hand up to say that they are sinners. Oh no, I'm a sinner. I'm going to church because I'm a sinner. I need Jesus to save me because I'm full of sin. I'm lustful. I'm evil. The Apostle Paul even said that, woe to my body that, I lead it as a slave because I'm captive to this body of sin. And so they believe in it. And therefore they've been turned into it. They are sinners. They are full of sin. They're absolute pathetic evildoers that are sitting on their hands waiting for something or someone to come and save them. And they've been deprived of their own salvation, which is their own divinity. So I just put that out there, guys, because we're just their techniques, their clever little language and little devices to ensnare you and turn you into an idiot and a moron and a debtor, so that they remain creditor forever. So we can put it back on them.
Not going to get an argument out of me.
No way.
No. Tony.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're absolutely right. It's time. It's time that we actually took hold of the reins and beat the bully out of the classroom. Basically, simple as that. There's lots of different ways of doing it, and it's all about consciousness. Once you can raise the conscious level, which is hard sometimes with some people's mentality, but when you can raise the consciousness level, they'll get it in the end, whether they like it or not, whether they've got a shiny badge or not. The shiny badge people are still going to be jacking thymera, sol, squalene, and mercury into their children's arms until they wake up. Simple as that. So, what else? What else can you say? I mean, it's not nice, is it? But hopefully they'll get it, and get it pretty damn quickly, I hope.
Yeah, so you begin to see that education is nothing but mind control. Enlightenment, well, that's something quite different on the other hand. That is what you're referring to, Tony, which is that consciousness. And it's interesting because you pretty much, you always, I hear you say it a lot, Tony, and I love that. You always bring it back to waking people up and the higher consciousness. Of course it is, because what is consciousness? Well, last time I checked, it was awareness, things, knowing things. If I'm conscious that there's a mouse in the corner of my room right now, well, then I'm conscious of it.
Absolutely.
That means I know it's there. But if I'm unconscious, I'm not aware of it, it's going around doing whatever it's doing without me knowing. So, just a simple illustration, but it shows that consciousness embraces awareness. Mm-hmm. And awareness is the least that we can ask of our human brothers, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to do so with, animals. I love my dog, but I mean, I can't raise a lot of awareness with my dog about, the stars, and I can't have conversations about, philosophy and stuff. So I've got to, keep my, keep my interactions with my dog at a certain conscious level. But with human beings, for God's sakes, we can all be awake, can't we, at this time and age? Can't we see that forced medication like fluoride in the water is a bit shifty? Can't we see that, the day kids are born and they get slapped on the bum and the next thing they get is an injection, a vaccine with mercury in it? Can't we see that this is something wrong with all of this?
Yep.
And so it's the least we should be asking. It's the least. God damn it. Thomas Burgoyne, he said all this crap about reincarnation and, and having to... He said, we can eliminate reincarnation, he said, basically by awaking in one lifetime. Why not? Thomas Burgoyne was one of these persons that's saying you don't need to sit in this cycle of necessity for 24,000 years. And that also is a belief structure. That is absolutely a belief structure. You can dip in and dip out as quick as consciously aware you are. Thomas Burgoyne insisted on this. 3 human incarnations is enough to work it out and get the hell out of here. But if you're not advanced and you're a dumbass, you're going to be going around, you're going to be doing 24,000 years cycle of procession. You're going to miss out on the harvest and the ascension. So you'll do another 24 and another 24 and 24, and you'll probably, who knows? I mean, look around. There's some types that, I mean, look at George Bush's head. I'm sorry to be judgmental here, guys. He is my brother and I love him. But look at his head. You can tell he's been doing thousands and gazillions of rounds of necessity. He's been stuck here for a long time, this guy, and I think he loves it. He loves the red energy of the bottom chakra, earth. You can tell the way he acts and ponces around, prancing around like when he's, in action. Cocky and confident. So there are people who love it. They love, getting in helicopters and, having automatic guns and they're just about going to land in a village in Vietnam somewhere, and they know that they're going to be shooting women and raping some of them and little kids and babies and slashing them and they love it. So they're stuck here for a good while. But advanced human beings that do not kill, conscientious objectors to all of this rubbish that's going on in the world, they can get out in 1 or 2 lifetimes. There's no reason why you cannot ascend the oil in 1 lifetime. There's none at all. The only distractions would be just that, distractions. There's only one thing that can pull you off the path, and that is distractions of any kind. And you must never, ever be distracted. Here is the wisdom of the astrologer. I'm going to read from Firmicus Maternus, the 4th century astrologer, who wrote in the Mathesios, one of the greatest astrological works. He wrote the life and training of an astrologer in Liber Secundus, the 2nd book. He said this, keep away at all times from the enticements of the shows, lest anyone think you are a patron of this kind of thing. For the priest of the gods must be apart from the low base pleasures. Now, that's talking about going to see, Manchester United kick Arsenal's butt, or LA Galaxy kick, someone else's butt over in that league. That's what it's talking about, those enticements. These are stupid games. It's fun to play sport. I love sport, don't get me wrong. And I love, watching it. It's great to see my young brothers so physically fit chase that little pigskin around that park just so that they can win. It's quite amusing sometimes. I've got nothing against, recreation, even though it has to do with wrecking. But nonetheless, that's what Firmicus Maternus said. We are of this kind. Keep away at all times from the enticements of the shows. How many of our brothers get allured to turn on, Fox and turn on, Hollywood lifestyles? Let's go and see what Botox-ridden, plastic, artificial, corporatized, Vatican-run Hollywood's into now. Let's go and watch the, I don't know, who's that family now, that Kardashians. Who are they? Kardashians, that's it. Yeah, let's watch the shit that they do, with Botox and stabbing their Hollywood buddies in the back, getting married and divorced within a week, how you can do that, how you can have a totally artificial, plastic, drab, moron life and glorify it. How many of our brothers do that? And yet here is the astrologer 1,600 years ago in the heart of the Christian world of Constantine saying, do not go to the bread and circuses. Then he goes on to say, do not entrust the secrets of this religion to the sinful greed of men's minds, for one should not initiate souls of depraved men into the holy rituals. This divine science cannot at any time adhere to a mind captured and stained by wicked greed. It always sustains the greatest loss when it is defamed by improper intentions. Therefore, be pure and chaste, and if you have separated yourself from all kinds of wicked activity which destroy the spirit, and if the desire for the right way of life has freed you from any suspicion of crime, anyway, etc., etc., etc. You got of it. But he also says this, now you, whoever you are, who try to read these books since you have received the knowledge, the whole knowledge of this divine science, and are now endowed with the secrets of the stars, and have learned the first principles of the art, shape yourselves in the image and likeness of divinity, so that you may always be a model of excellence. He who daily speaks about the gods, or with the gods, must shape his mind to approach the likeness of divinity. Therefore study and pursue all the distinguishing marks of virtue, and when you have trained yourself in these, be easy of access, so that if anyone wishes to consult you about anything, he may approach you without fear. Be modest, be upright, sober, eat little, be content with few goods, so that the shameful love of money may not defile the glory of this divine science. That's astrology, in case you missed that. That's astrology, which is the merging of two sciences, astronomy and theology. And and this is why only an astronomer... You see, look, Kate, you know that this is the best astro-theology on the planet. Why would that be? Well, because we understand that astronomy is a science which contributes to theology, which contributes to astrology, which makes astrology, or call it astro-theology. It doesn't matter. They are the same thing. And this is the science, obviously, we gather that from what Firmicus just said. This is the science. These are the divine scientists, the true teachers of the true word and will of God that have been persecuted for 2,000 years.
Absolutely.
Oh yes, yeah. Sorry about that. Just a lot of action and fun in the chat room. Looks like we got a shill or two. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll take the compliment. And you know, it's yeah. We do this just for the stats. Of course we do. Yeah. Because I've got nothing better to do with my life than give up everything I've ever known and to be real and to tolerate. You know. I can't even say tolerate. You know, I look at it and I go, oh well. But anyway, thanks for the compliment for showing up. It means that we're obviously making a difference, and that's okay. And I said earlier in the show too, you know, I don't care if you show up or not. I don't care if you believe or understand or know anything that we're talking about. That's irrelevant. I mean, the door opened up to come in, and you know, hey, could have booted you from the room, and then give up everything, kids. Called my kids and soulmate, and you know, house, car, truck, family possessions, you know, things that my dad had just left me after he passed away, and what have you. Yeah, so I don't expect that you would understand anything of that nature or that level, and especially the likes of, you know, having the system kill both your parents at different times in your life, and I still don't seek any vengeance, but you know what, carry on, you're doing a great job, and totally blind meat puppet. Oh, yeah, I love that one. Well said, Patchy. Yeah, well, thanks, Anon. That's great. I absolutely think so too, because at least I had the decency to decide that you and your children were worthy of this as well. So you're welcome. Thanks for noticing. So anyway, let's move on into more astro-theology here, Santo. Let the shows go. I think Patchy and Ragdoll and Paul and everyone else has this distractor well in hand. So
and also.
Well, I just have a quick question about astro-theology. Actually, you'll probably want to finish your thoughts, Santos.
No, it's all right. I just wanted to say the process of the shield also needs to be. We need to be thankful for the shills, you know, because that's what they're there for. They are to bring us back, to remind us what we really are. You see, you were just reminded there, Kate. You were just reminded of who you really are. That's what Firmicus Maternus was saying. You've actually lived this life, and you've been reminded. Those words have echoed for 1,600 years, even for thousands of years prior to that, and we have lived it. We know that we have never had so much shameful lust for money that we've, defiled our path. We know that we will never walk that money path again. We know that we've said goodbye to all the fictions. We know that we are the real thing. Yeah, regardless of whether people, appreciate our personalities or not, or the content of the information, we know who we are. That's why Nosce te ipsum, your family Thompson motto name, is so important. And this is what people are missing out on. They don't know who they are. Who is it? The divinity. Firmicus Maternus pointed it out, didn't he? We are the divinity. This is the glorious divine science.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Jeremy. Yep, that's all I want to say.
Oh, no, that's quite all right, and that's absolutely true. That's really what we are. We're that divine essence, and that balance of the female and the masculine, two parts of the whole. But my question was, I've always wondered, based on the time that we emerge here, or the moment that we emerge here in physical form, when is it the time? It's the time that you leave the womb and take your first breath that you start to. That's when it defines you, as far as what the surrounding masses affect you. I'm not really sure exactly the terminology for that, but or is it the time that the beginning of gestation period? So, what are the differences between those two times, and what's the school of thought between those two moments of emergence?
Yeah, very good question. Once upon a time, they did register the conception time, and they had accuracy with that system. But in Egypt, the Hermetic astrology, which is the same as biblical astrology, which is exactly what I am teaching. This is all I'm doing. I want to stress that I'm doing Hermetic /biblical astrology. That's it. That must be said. But anyway, in that system, it is taken from the moment that the child draws breath. But then again, one needs to be very, very careful, because drawing breath and actually being having all of the soul and all of its functions is really the moment, and sometimes that don't coincide. There's seconds, but nonetheless, if you mark down the moment that the babe draws breath, the native draws breath, that is it. That's the moment that it has taken of the air element. You see, you got to remember the native's been in the water element in the womb for nine months. So it's going up to the next. It's going from liquid to gas environment, because that's what air is. You see, oxygen. What else is in there? What makes up the atmosphere? The oxygen we breathe. I forget the
nitrogen.
Nitrogen, of course. Yeah.
Carbon dioxide.
Yeah. There's a couple more, but anyway, that's it. It's gas, right? And those gases, they carry the kinetic, chemical energy of the electrical currents, frequencies, and configurations of the time. In other words, right, when you look at your birth chart, that is the moment you drew breath. That is the moment you came into the air element, into the gas, and you were exposed with, well, think
that
about
frequency.
it. Okay, yeah, the frequency, exactly. Because every day the sun's frequency changes. Because every day is a degree of the arc of the ecliptic. More or less. I mean, it's 365 days in the cycle, but there's 360 degrees. So you're looking at a day a degree. Now, obviously, the sun is changing its degree of light every day that it rises. And you can see that if you watch it rising, you can see it move on the horizon. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's always moving. Those angles are very, very important. And where you are born, in relation to where the sun is on the ecliptic. So, for instance, if the sun is, in my case, 24th of March, it was in the 2nd degree of Aries. So it just passed the equinox of the 21st of March. It just passed the point of balance. It is now 2 days and 2 degrees beyond the ecliptic, the equinox on the ecliptic. Therefore, I am receiving the sun's rays at that angle the moment I draw breath, and that signature will be with me for the rest of this incarnation. Also, moon will be there. Now, the moon, if she is waxing, that will indicate something of her light toward me. If she is waning, that will also indicate something else. But the other factor is she above the horizon or below the horizon when you were born? Because if the moon is above the horizon and you can see it with your eyes, that's one thing. If she is below, that's another thing. Waxing, waning, that is also another thing. Exaltations, that's another thing. If the moon is in Taurus, you are blessed, because that is the sign of her exaltation. So if you have a Taurian moon or a Cancerian moon, with a Cancerian moon you have 5 points. With a Taurian moon you have 4 points, because a dignity is 5 points, a exaltation is 4 points. I have 2 dignities. I have Jupiter in Pisces, Saturn in Aquarius, therefore I have 10 points there. And I have my Sun in Aries, I am Arian, that's 4 points. So I've got 14 points just on those 3 orbs. Now, so the reason they give you scores, and it's like, you know, in car racing, you know, the podium, the guy at the top who finishes first, he gets 20 points. The second guy gets 15. Third guy placement gets 10 points. It's the same thing with astrology, you know. Your chart gives you certain things. And so wherever the planets are along the ecliptic determines whether they will be strong or weak, waxing or waning, well positioned, above the horizon, below the horizon, etc., etc. Then there are other factors to factor in. There are the angles that they create between themselves along the ecliptic. So, 90-degree angles and 180-degree angles are ones that create tension and opportunity and very, very tense dynamics in your chart. For instance, all right, well, my sun is in Aries. If my moon was in Cancer, that's 2 cardinal signs. That's 90 degrees. That's a square. That's a very, very angular, tense angle. So you can see that if I've got planets lined up in other cardinal signs, because I am already cardinal by virtue of being Arian, if I have anything else in the cardinal signs, then I will have squares and oppositions. And those are really changing angles. But if I've got elements in my fire, which I do, for instance, I have my ascendant and Mars in Leo, so there's a trine relationship. That's now up the angle to 120 degrees. So if you can go from 90 to 120, 120 is a equilateral triangle arrangement. If you've got that kind of arrangement in your chart, that's a very harmonious. And what that means is that there's there is beautiful harmony between those two signs. So I have Mars in Leo trining with my Sun in Aries. That's a trine. So there's harmony there. So I can enjoy that. I can enjoy the harmony of that fiery Mars in my heart, in Leo fixed fire, trining with another fiery planet in another fiery sign. No wonder I'm so fiery. But having Leo in my ascendant also gives that double fire thing. So if you have two elements, two activities going on in the same element in your chart, that's beautiful. But if it's a 90-degree angle that's going on, you've got a lot of 90-degree stuff going on, well, that's, it's not so beautiful, but it's challenging, let's say, and you need to know about it, because you need to know that those angles exist. For instance, if you're going to be fighting in an army, and, let's say you're Alexander in 4th century BCE, and you're fighting over the Persians, and you've got your 47,000 Greek Spartan heroes with you, and there you go, and you've got no strategy, right? And there's 2 million Medes and Persians coming toward you, right? Well, you need to know what angle they are coming at you at. If they're coming at you at an opposition, 180 degrees, directly from in front, you need to know what strategies you've got for that angle. If they're coming at you from your flanks, that's 90 degrees. That's a weak spot. The flanks, Napoleon knew about the flanks. Wellington knew about the flanks. That's 90 degrees. You need to know what planets are there, because those planets are having that particular debility on you. It's a debility. It's not an asset. It's not an asset. You can turn it into an asset, but it's conditioned as an evil aspect in your chart. Those are evil angles, 90 degrees. So you see how beautiful this science is. And going back to Jeremiah's question now, that was the question, wasn't it? Remind me about that, Jeremiah, so I can... What was the original question?
Yes. Oh, yes. You wrapped it up beautifully, and then some. I have a pretty clear image now as to, how the factors are messing with me, especially with the angles that are in play. And I believe I have a moon in Taurus, and I'm on the cusp of Scorpio and Libra on October 22nd. So is that kind of a 120-degree angle, like an angle?
Oh, no, mate, that's
I'm getting that right?
No, that's an opposition. If you've got a moon in Taurus, depending on the degree, but let's say if you've got a moon in 15 degrees of Taurus, and where's your sun? Are you Scorpio, did you say?
Libra, October 22nd. So right on the cusp.
Yeah, that's absolutely right on the cusp. Last day for Libra, and you can pretty much, 23rd is the first day of Scorpio. So you would then need to have the moon in the first degrees of Taurus for there to be a direct opposition, because you've obviously got your sun in the first degrees of Scorpio. So if the moon is anywhere near the first 8 degrees of Taurus, you've got, the first 4 degrees of Taurus, or the last 4 degrees of Aries, you've got an opposition there, my friend.
I see. And what is an opposition exactly?
180 degrees. Those planets are positioned at exactly 180 degrees around the circumference of the circle. The circumference of the zodiac circle is the ecliptic. This is how, okay, when you go into an astrology chart, right, let's show you how to do your chart. Now, this is what you do. And if you're on a browser, go into your browser and put in horoscopeswithin.com. Horoscopeswithin.com. Now, go down the left. You've got all these buttons down the left and services, and click on the button Free Birth Chart. And then punch in your details, time of birth, etc. It's all there. It's in a little box. All you've got to do is just punch in the information. And what appears is this, a circle. And the circle always begins at the left, at the 9 o'clock position, where you see the letters AC. That stands for ascendant. That's where that is the place, that the sign that is there, the zodiac sign that is there, was ascending, was coming up in the east the moment you were born. So when I was born at 4:30 in the Victorian Alps in Victoria, Australia, Myrtleford, on 4:30 in the afternoon on the 24th of March 1963, the sign of Leo could be seen. You know, the paws of the cat was coming up when I drew my first breath on this planet. So that's my ascendant. That's where everything, you start there. Your eyes go to at the 9 o'clock position and you look at the AC, you start there. That's where everything begins. And then, and what you must understand is the circle is 360 degrees, and that is the ecliptic. That is the path in the sky that the sun goes on. It's the sun. It's the path of the sun. So astrology is based on the sun, not the stars that are in parallel to those constellations. It's the sun. And so everything is measured from those degrees, starting from the 21st of March. And every degree thereafter, is basically the story of the sun going around in its cycle. But for astrological purposes, when you look at your chart and you see the AC, you will notice below the AC at the 8 o'clock position, you will notice that it has the number 1 there at the perimeter, right at the outside of the circle. It says 1. That's the first house. Then below that, at the 7 o'clock position, it says 2. That's the second house. Then below that, below that is 3, and so on and so forth. All the way around back to the ascendant at 9 o'clock, and just above the ascendant at 9 o'clock is the 12th house, the last house. And all of these houses, you will notice that planets are sprawled around that ecliptic, and they are placed in these houses. And how it happens is this. The ascendant is the first house, that sign that is coming up. So Leo, in my case, that's the first house. Those two signs are in my first house, Leo Virgo. So the signs, there's 2 signs in my first house, and usually there are 2 signs, really, unless the house or the sign has been intercepted. And that's another thing, but I won't go into that. But usually there will be 2 signs in a house. The houses correspond to the 24 hours. It corresponds to the daily cycle. They are the 12 temples. They are the 12 houses or stations within a 24-hour cycle. So there's 2 hours per house on average. Okay? But whereas the signs, they represent the yearly activity. You see? So, all right, I've explained that. What else did I want to explain? I just want to establish some real simple things for you so that you can navigate how to read your chart. It's really easy. Now, on this particular website, you will see red lines and blue lines in the middle of the circle. You know, and those lines will be pointing invariably to planets, the 10 planets that are positioned around that circle. And so you'll have, and that's what you call aspects. Now, some people have very, very few aspects in their charts, and some people have very, very busy charts with a lot of aspects. And so, you know, some people have only got, 3 or 4 planets aspecting, and they're all good aspects. I've got a friend who has only sextiles in his chart. So he has only got
cutting out that
has a grand cross in her chart, which means... Am I?
Yeah, you did for a moment there. We missed a couple of seconds of that at least, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, so look for these aspects. Look for the blue and red lines, and there's 2 types of red lines and 2 types of blue lines. The red lines will be positions and squares, 180 degrees and 90 degrees, like your Scorpio Taurus 1 Jeremiah. And the blue ones will be trines and sextiles, or 120 and 60 degree aspects. Those are good angles, good angels, and the oppositions and squares in your chart, those are bad angles or bad angels, depending on whether you're talking in astronomy speak or theology speak.
I see. That's great. I have this chart all set, and I have all the information, so I'm definitely going to go back and study this now that I have a better understanding of what's going on. Thank you so much for elaborating that for me. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, look, next week, have your chart with you, okay? And get familiar with it and know the names of all the planets around it and everything, and tell me their positions, and I'll tell you as much as I can about what that's doing for you, what they're doing, what those planets are doing for you, what's dynamics they are generating in your life, which cause you to tend to see repetitive cycles recurring in your life because of certain frequencies that are pretty much crystallized within your makeup, your aura, your emotional, spiritual, mental, psychic, and physical body. And so this is why you see, people that continue to repeat unfortunate experiences in their lives, or why other people continue to be lucky, and it seems that everything they do turns to gold. They have Midas touch. They're always lucky. They always win everything. It's because you do actually get enveloped in the little cycles that are generated by these energy vortexes that are produced from these angles in your chart. And most people are ignorant of them because most people are in the school of, astrology's from the devil, it's a pseudoscience. Therefore, they not only deny their divinity, they are engaging in sinful, evil acts and have forgotten the law of God when you put it poetically in theology speak.
This is the importance of having the actual information, because if you haven't got the information, you know, again, if you're not aware of the situations, how can you address them, fix them, or identify what they are? So it's vital information.
Tony, that's why we've got the best remedies, my friend, and the listeners know it. We've got the best remedies. We know the law. We're not in the illusional world of the fictional statutes and regulations and bylaws and enactments, and so we're not deceived. We're not going to be putting on a clown suit with some badges and taser someone because they were speeding and weren't following the rules, the corporate rules, because we've put our police officer costume on and forgotten to be policemen and women. Yep. So we've got the remedies in law, we've got the remedies in theology, we've got the remedies in science, in light, the science of light, astrology. We've got the answers. Not all of them. No one has all of them, but collectively, I mean, if you put... All right, let's get what you do, Tony. You've invented many marvelous inventions. You've got websites that are devoted to all of your inventions, in fact, right? So that's why you're always talking about free energy, because you know that energy is free, and you know how to make devices that use free energy. Therefore, you are coming from that knowing place. I can't do that. But I'm pitching in what I know about theology and the Bible and astrology and the stars. Kate comes along, and Kate has devoted her life to words, etymology, law, not fiction, law, English, and so many insights and input that I can't do. And then there's Jeremiah, and the list goes on. Jordan was going to join us today, and Jordan has done so much for the consciousness expansion of this planet. So we've got the remedies. We're not short of any remedies. We've got we know how to alkalize the body. We know about health. We know that Big Pharma and their treatments is a crock of shit. And we know that cures are the order of the day in the universe, everywhere else, apart from, some hijacked, piratized countries still left that believe in the New World Order. I think that's the only place in the universe left where you can actually get treatments for for illnesses.
Absolutely. It's a mad flipping situation out there. Really flipping is. But this is the only place this is the only place in the universe where Johnson & Johnson are going to hawk their big pharma shit on unsuspecting, mind-controlled ignoramuses and inject them with their poisons. They're not going to do it anywhere else because they're too smart. They're too conscious and aware. Only on this dumbass place, prison place. It's been imprisoned, but hallelujah, we've been freed. So, and I trust that the sooner we get in the information about the people's trust out there, so that we can let our sleeping brothers that are being hurt and sodomized by this system, let them know that they've been freed from it. The Inquisition is over. We don't need it anymore. Dean Clifford does not need to be in jail. He is a truth speaker. He is a warrior, not a soldier. Soldier has to do with that word sold. Yep. Sold ya. Here's some money, mercenary. Let's go to Syria and have some fun. We've got all these military industrial toys. Here you go. There's some toys for you, 18-year-old Hollywood brainwashed idiots that have been trained with your little toys, your killing guns and machine games on PlayStation. Go out and have some real fun. Come on. Few innocents out there, aren't there?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of fun, oh my. Yeah, what have we got here? Maybe. Just a little over 2 minutes left. Yeah, the chat room's been quite entertaining. Anon, anyway, thank you for being so entertaining, Anon. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, the exposure of who you are is getting pretty self-evident. So, yeah, that's the unfortunate part when I don't need to mention any names, but when people get caught with their hands in the kitty, and they turn on you, canceling shows and shit like that. What do you expect? But no, it's no problem. You see, the only truth that matters to me is the truth I know in my own heart, and that works for me. I don't necessarily have to have anyone agree with me, but I will always have in front of me anything that I need to, I don't need to prove. Egos need proof. Truth is self-evident, and that's kind of where I live. I know it's a big stretch for shills and whatnot, but that's okay. Shills of any nature. But that's all right. It's been very entertaining, and thank you so much. Please make sure you show up every night because you make yourself more and more evident, and yeah, everyone's welcome at the table. So hey, and just be careful. If you offend people, you will get flagged, and I don't have control on that. So people don't like it, they flag you. But anyway, Santo, thank you so much for tonight, and I'm going back to the fact that when we did this first night with you and Jordan and Tony and myself, and it's actually Jordan's idea to do these every week, which was kind of cool. So I know he couldn't make it tonight, and that's all right. We'll keep going, and the nights we leave this night for you and Jordan and Tony and myself, and regardless if people can make it or not, that's entirely up to them. But the platform is here. We do like to focus on syncretism. But thanks again, Santo, as always, and Tony. Thank you so much, and Jeremiah for chiming in tonight. It's been absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming in and listening. It's all appreciated, and like I said, what we're trying to do is give you some good information and help you help everybody else in the process.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to Critical Mass Radio Syncretism. Thank you, Paul, Lisa, and the crew at Critical Mass for giving us this platform. Much love to everybody, and we'll catch you tomorrow night. Don't forget Kyler Davenport with Elliot Bernstein tomorrow night. It's going to be a wild ride. Do not miss it. Thanks again, everyone, for being here listening and for downloading, since we're on the record now. Much love to all. Take care, and see you tomorrow.
God bless.
Much love.
Take care.
Cheers, guys.